Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Curly K Graham, and I'm here today to bring you a review for, I was about to say grownish. I'm not here for grownish. I'm here for All-American Homecoming. Y'all, All-American Homecoming was extremely good. That may have been the best episode of All-American Homecoming that I've seen thus far. The episode, I think it's episode 10, called Dance With My Father, or something like that. All-American does a really good job of taking like topics from the Black community, and even though some of them might be like slightly problematic or controversial, they have a very good way of delivery. Like, I'm trying to see how I can explain it. For like example, sometimes, and I'm going to even say it as myself, I'm currently 31 years old, and there are things that no parent is perfect. No parent is perfect. But there are things even at 31, and I had a pretty good upbringing. But there are some things at 31 that I realized that I blame my parents for while they were raising me and some of the decisions. And I'm not even going to say mistakes. Actually, it is a mistake, because a mistake is something that you know nothing about, you can't control. And I'm sorry, y'all, for smacking. Opening up them Skittles was not a good idea, like trying to do this review. But there are some mistakes and some things that, as a 31-year-old woman, I grew up in the 90s. And I feel like every decade or every generation or every era is different in terms of their upbringing. And I feel like some things that my mom and dad may have done, the decisions they made while they were rearing me, was a direct result of the way they were reared. And that showed and was displayed excellently in Homecoming with Jesse 1. I'm going to refer to them as Jesse 1, 2, and 3. JR is Jesse 3. Jesse Raymond is Jesse 2. And the first one, I think, Granddaddy Raymond, I think his name was Jesse 2. So Jesse 1 was a very strict and hard on Jesse Raymond. And in turn, he was hard on JR, and his lack of support, his constant being real with JR, even him not being there for Damon was a direct reflect of the relationship he had with his father. And sometimes we do not realize the things that we go through with our parents, and then when we turn around and have children. I do not have children yet, but that's one thing that I tell my husband all the time that I do not want to happen, is the things that I didn't necessarily agree with. I want my child to be able to come and talk to me, even if it's a hurtful conversation and I'm not going to agree with it. I want them to be able to come talk to me and we can discuss things. And I think Damon overhearing that conversation between Big JR, well, the biggest JR, JR1 and JR2, I think was I think that conversation that Damon overheard allowed and opened up for him to have grace for Jesse, because over the course of season 2, we saw Damon's, I'm not going to say rage, but Damon's disdain for JR2. He did not have mercy for JR, too, because he felt like he was the father who gave up his child. And now he now understands, and JR is JR3 as well, now understands that he didn't realize how problematic of a man that his grandfather was. But his grandfather may just be a product of the way his father raised him, and how it goes down and down and down, and it affects so many children. It's crazy. I like how Gabby was there to support JR. And even when she overstepped, she was woman enough to apologize to JR. And then, kind of bring some things to light to JR that he didn't really think about. Because in terms of like even his mom and daddy divorcing, we saw throughout the show that really affected JR, and it really made him sad that his parents couldn't get together. But I know his daddy is his own man, but his grandfather's view of the way his father had a relationship with his mother, he took it as his father not being man enough in his marriage, even after his wife had an affair. Now, mind you, whether or not infidelity played a part in JR's mom and dad's relationship, whether he decided to forgive her or not, that was between them. And because he listened to his father or his tough critiques or his smart remarks his father made, that conversation that they had led JR's father to decide to leave his wife. Or they ended up divorcing because he said his wife. And then he said that Gabby had them same characteristics. And that JR needed to leave her because she was fast. I was just like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And we all know that we stand Jabrielle. Oh, Lord. Thea and Simone. Okay, Thea and Simone are competing for their spot back in top 6. Thea is now clear for competitive play. And so we get to see how they work together, because honestly, there was so much division on the team. It's crazy to me. Well, it's not crazy, but it was interesting how Tootie was instrumental in helping bringing Simone and Thea together for them to play. And they had an honest conversation about whether or not they should embrace being friends or whether or not they should embrace being teammates. And if I heard correctly, I heard Thea say, let's just focus on being the best teammates we can be. She didn't say anything about friendship. Not to say that she took friendship off the table from her and Simone, but sometimes, and I can say this for myself because I went all my life playing sports until like in my 20s. Sometimes your teammates are your very best friends. I mean, when you play a sport, the camaraderie that you develop with your teammates is a bond that you never forget. To this day, I'm still really good friends. I mean, really close friends with a lot of my teammates. And it's in some cases, in some instances where you don't have a relationship with any of your teammates at all. And that's fair, because I definitely don't have a relationship with all of my teammates. But for some of the ones that I was close to, especially the ones that came in when I came in, that was during my same year, I still have a pretty good relationship with a lot of them, whether it was from track, when I was throwing, shot putting discus, or when I was playing basketball, or when I was the captain on the volleyball team. It's just, teammates are special. And I saw a lot of myself in Simone, especially over the last 2 episodes, where when Simone wasn't getting that camaraderie and that sisterhood that she was looking for from her teammates, that she turned to a Greek letter organization to look for that same sisterhood. And that was a conversation that her and Lando had last episode. I did the same thing when I got to college and I didn't have teammates no more, because in college I decided not to play sports anymore. it was just interesting to me. Like, I did that same thing. I went looking for that sisterhood, that camaraderie. I ended up deciding not to join a Greek letter organization, but at the same time, like, it was a thing, and so I could totally relate to Simone in that aspect. No, I didn't go to a HBCU. I did go to a PWI, but at the same time, I am black at an institution, just like Simone is black at an institution, and you have these same things, whether or not, because tennis is not a sport that's dominated by black people, just like volleyball isn't. And so I could totally relate to her on those aspects. Keisha. Keisha went to Auntie to vent to her. And I guess, since Auntie decided to take the role as president of Brixton, Auntie went and had a conversation with Dr. Pace. I don't think that Auntie was wrong in having a conversation with Dr. Pace, but a lot of students got mad at Keisha because they felt like Keisha affected the opportunities in, the planning and everything that Dr. Pace was known for in terms of like her dance program at Brixton. And I'm not saying Auntie was wrong because, well, Auntie was wrong in, I guess, taking that confidentiality that Keisha had in her. But Auntie was not wrong because even though the world is a tough place, you don't have to make everything tougher for your students just because you feel like it's giving them real world experience. Sometimes the best experience gained is when you go through it, not because somebody had to take you through all these loops and hoops and jumps to go through just because, in life you're going to go through obstacles. That's regardless. In life, regardless, you're going to go through those obstacles. Some obstacles are better trained for, yes, I know, but like some of that stuff like was impinging on a lot of them kids' mental health. And like Keisha was affected by it. Like the girl was having a full like breakdown because she was overexerting herself. She couldn't find that balance between school life and her personal life because she wanted to excel. And in doing so, she took that out on Cam. And even though Keisha was talking to Cam crazy, because I saw a lot of people saying on Twitter that Keisha got to stop talking to Cam like this. Like, you have to realize the development that they're doing as Keisha's character. Like, Keisha, from the beginning, was a pusher. Like, she pushed people out of her life because she always felt like she wasn't worthy enough of having somebody in her life, especially because she felt like her mother was taken from her at a young age. And in order to not experience that loss again, she pushes people away. And Cam was one of those people. And so since Cam knew that and she had a conversation with Cam, Cam was understanding and extended her grace and forgiveness in the way she was talking. And she also went to apologize to Cam about it. Another thing, since we're talking about Keisha, Cam kind of spilled the beans to Keisha. So we're just now seeing Keisha find out about her auntie and her daddy dating. But if I'm not mistaken, I thought that auntie dumped Keisha's daddy. So auntie we haven't really seen on screen outside of them deciding that, it's best for them not to be together. They haven't really addressed that in since before the season went on hiatus for a mid-break, you know what I'm saying? So I thought it was interesting at the fact that they was just saying Marcus had just kissed Amara and told her that he loved her again and he wanted to show her. And Marcus and Amara have history. And the way Amara grabbed Marcus's face, I thought Amara was over Marcus because of the things she said in the past, especially when they had that power outage. But there's still something there between Amara and Marcus. And I'm here for All-American exploring love in the adult way. So to me, honestly, I'm not even going to hold you. I know people hate comparing All-American and Homecoming to each other. But honestly, to me, Amara and Coach Marcus is equivalent to Grace and Mr. Carter finding love. Like, finding love in an older age. Because, majority of the time when we see adults in love on screen, they've already been together for many years. And so now we're getting, two people who are in their late 30s, maybe early 40s, re-exploring a relationship. So I think that's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I cover everything before I get to Simone and Damon, because I know, I think I covered everything. Oh, wait, let's talk about Thea not being there for Damon before we get to Simone and Damon. Okay, so Thea, I did not like Thea starting from the backdoor pilot. I did not like Thea. But in the last couple of episodes, I found myself extending grace to Thea because Thea grew up, for lack of a better word, sheltered. And she didn't have very much human interaction. She didn't have very good social skills because she just devoted herself so much to tennis. So she doesn't really have a complete understanding of a balance between athletics and her personal life. She devotes herself so much to tennis, and that's not a bad thing, because sometimes when you do pursue things like a sport, it takes an extreme amount of dedication and sacrifice. And so at a young age, she understood sacrifice. So in that aspect, she did what she knew best to do. But in doing that, Damon opened her up to a new version of her personal self in her personal life, and it's dating. Thea's never dated anybody. Damon was the first dude she dated. Now, with that being said, Thea not being there for Damon, Thea knew that Damon's father died, but she chose not to, try to comfort Damon because she didn't know what to say. And all that is valid. But at the same time, for somebody you cared about, you would think you would kind of move past your feelings. Well, that's the logical thing that we think. Move past your own feelings to help comfort somebody else, because at that moment, it's not about you. And Damon was like, it's okay. Because I'm not going to say Damon didn't really like Thea. Damon really liked Thea, and he cared about Thea. And he was kind of messed up when Thea decided to pursue tennis and said that he was a distraction. That kind of threw him off a little bit. So with that being said, I am going to say this. Because when you watch, I'm a TV watcher, y'all. And when I say that, I mean, I really am critical of the things that I watch, that I give my viewership to. And I am very analytical when I watch TV. And so I may, sometimes have a different lens on things. And as far as things that we knew from the beginning, mind you, I saw somebody tweet something like this last night, where it was like, you have to watch season 1 through 4 of All American and then stop at season 4, episode 8, and then begin watching Homecoming from that point. And I'm glad that my husband told me that, because initially my husband was not watching Homecoming. My husband was an All American fan. And so All American came out, and then, when Homecoming came on Netflix, he was like, you should watch the episode, that was the pilot to that. And so I did. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm coming in kind of blind to the fact of everything that's going on the show. So I decided to watch All American in totality. That way I have a background on Simone. Okay, stay with me, y'all. I'm going somewhere with this tangent, this sidebar. So with that being said, while Simone, okay, we all know that in the beginning, Simone was dating Jordan. Simone came to Brixton in a relationship with Jordan. Distance kind of got the best of Jordan and Simone, and so now Jordan and Simone are broken up. They're not together anymore. Throughout Jordan and Simone being together, and even when Simone visited Brixton, Damon has always had eyes for Simone. I know that Team Lamone is saying we don't want Damone together, and I'm not only saying this because I'm Team Damone, but Damon has always had eyes for Simone, starting with the way she met Damon. And she kind of met Damon on the similar terms as to when she met Lando. Like, it started out as her being, like, feisty toward him. Like, her was trying to get him together. And same thing with Lando. And so, Damon has always had eyes for Simone. And when Simone was in a relationship with Jordan, you could see throughout the duration of season 1 that Simone was falling for Damon, because Damon was always there for Simone. And so it's kind of, I know y'all gonna hate this too, it's extremely similar to when Olivia and Spencer, their characters developing over the course of All American. They started out as meeting on not the best terms. Spencer was at a new school and he didn't have no friends, and Olivia was the first person to befriend him. And so starting out at a new school, Brixton, Damon and Simone were each other's first person that they met, because they came to school knowing other people. Like, Spencer came to school knowing Billy, and he left an area that he knew, which was Crenshaw, to go to Beverly Hills. Simone left LA, an area that she knew, to go to Atlanta. And she met Damon. That was the first person she met. So, the same thing goes. While Spencer was in a relationship with Layla, Olivia liked him from afar. But she never said anything because he was in a relationship. Damon is kind of the opposite for Damon. Simone knew Damon liked him. Simone knew that episode when she left Brixton to go back to LA on that backdoor pilot that she liked Damon. And you could tell. And Jordan knew something was going on then, from that very moment, because of the way he looked when she decided to stay. And if y'all want to go back and relook at the backdoor pilot and then look at, like, the duration of Homecoming, you just got to pay attention. It's just the way it was written. And obviously we know Damone is in game the same way Olivia is in game on All American. But, like, at the same time, throughout Damon and Simone's friendship, they've always been there for each other, especially in a critical time. And I always have mentioned in prior videos that when you go to college, when you meet people, you meeting people in college is completely different from you knowing somebody your whole life. Like, when I left my hometown, I went to school. I still stayed in North Carolina, but I went to another city in North Carolina, and I met people from out of town. And when I tell you we instantly bonded, that bond you make with people in college is like no other bond I've ever experienced. And y'all are always together constantly because y'all are together. That is y'all's family. Y'all get close. There's a closeness that's involved in that. And that closeness is very much so displayed on screen in Homecoming, which is why I think the Homecoming fans are so, like, enamored by it, because it happens. And so when Simone kept herself at a distance with Damon. I think she always had feelings for Damon, but she kept herself at distance because out of respect for Jordan, she knew that she didn't want to disrespect Jordan, and because she loved Jordan. Okay? And so moving forward, fast forward to, that day when Simone was working that party and Damon was like, you owe me a dance. Simone felt herself fall for Damon. That's the moment she legit fell for Damon, at least on screen. And so from then on, Simone has tried to keep her distance from Damon because she knows how she feels for Damon. Okay, because at that moment, Simone was still in a relationship with Jordan. So fast forward, Simone goes home to Jordan. And she can just tell the vibe between her and Jordan is off. Fast forward, Simone breaks up with Jordan. But then while all this is going on, Thea has her little run-in with Kevin. And I'm going to stop there to address this point because I just want, viewers to think about it. Because this is a recap. We're reviewing the episode from last night. When Thea met Kevin and Kevin tried to assault Thea, Damon was there for Thea because I know a lot of people last night was saying that kiss between Simone and Damon was a trauma bond experience. And even though it may have been, I don't think that was the whole basis of it. I believe that was something that was brewing. That was a long time coming. It just happened at the moment in which she was comforting Damon. But let's not forget that Damon and Thea's whole relationship was built off of a trauma bond. Because Damon was there to defend Thea and Damon bonded over that closeness because he was making sure he was always there for her. And it kind of was the hero syndrome in a sense. And Thea was there. Yeah, Thea and Damon had the whole athletic experience, in common. But throughout their relationship, he may have liked Thea. He may have even told Thea he loved her. But Damon was in love with Simone from jump. And the more that Simone was there for him, especially after they visited Chicago, when Simone went with him home to Chicago, when they went to go visit his daddy, or when he went to go visit his daddy, he was always there for Simone. And even his mom, when him and Thea started dating, and she was like, oh, damn, you got a girlfriend? Not the person I expected. But okay. Because she thought it was going to be Simone. But then we're going to fast forward to the part where Damon and Thea are already together. Simone had broken up with Jordan, and he never knew because she didn't tell him. Because Simone always talks about time. You have to realize she always mentions time. And if timing was right. Her and Damon, that's their thing, if timing was right. So Simone breaks up with Jordan, goes to Damon for his support, for his comfort, and then she says, I can't do this, I need to figure this out alone. Fast forward, Damon and Thea are together now. She finds out, and you can see the jealousy that Simone is going through that process. And even Keisha says to her, how does it feel? How did it feel doing it? And she was like, it was one of the toughest things I had to do. And then fast forward to the competition. Damon and Simone are talking. And he says to her, you ever wonder what it would be like, for us if timing had been different? And Simone says all the time. So fast forward to now. Damon was still with Thea, but Thea's going through her injury. Thea's not handling the healing process well. So, of course, her relationship is strained because of that. And so Thea decides to pull the plug on her and Damon. Simone, finding out later, Simone is there to comfort Damon. in his heartbreak with Thea. Damon knows that something is happening between Simone and Lando. But at this current present time, we've seen many scenes where they've had Simone with one or the other, and the other one was looking from afar at them. It's been scenes when Simone was with Lando and Damon was looking. Even with the threat they had at school, Damon sent out the text message while he was still with them and was like, this is not the end of us. Like, he was like, this is not the end of us. Like, I know, like, you know, I have something to tell you. And he was adamant about Simone checking, he was adamant about Simone checking her phone. Just so, you know, he was adamant about her checking her phone to make sure that his message got across to her. And then, also, you have to think about, in addition to that, sorry, y'all, that person, I know y'all just heard the person get in the car. It distracted me. It threw me off. Like, oh, yeah. So when Lando gets to school, Lando knows there's something going on between Damon and Simone. But Lando falls for Simone anyway. It's kind of like, y'all gonna hate this. It's kind of like Alicia and Spencer. Alicia was just there, you know. She was just there at the right time. Well, not at the right time for her, but, you know, like, she wanted to explore something. Spencer wanted to explore something because, you know, at the time, him and Liv weren't together, you know? And so, Simone's there to comfort Damon through his heartbreak with Thea. And then, it's just the fact that Damon and Simone continuously chose each other throughout everything that they've been going through. And mind you, they're just still freshmen in school. Simone was there with the whole thing with JR. Damon and JR found out he was brothers. Simone was there during the whole thing. Even if she overstepped her bounds with Damon, she was there to tell Damon about her son. She was there with Damon, wanting to explore his relationship, or at least entertain the relationship of meeting his birth father. Like, Simone has just been there. And there have been times when Simone was even the person that Damon went to outside of Thea. Even when him and Thea was dating, he always looked to Simone. Just like even when Simone was dating Jordan, she went to Damon about a lot of things. And that's why Damon and Jordan ended up getting into a fight. Oh yeah, one point that I forgot to mention was even Thea knew, because Thea made a comment in tonight's episode where she was just like, you would think that Damon's mom would call me because I was his girlfriend, but she's calling you for you to check on Damon and make sure Damon's okay. And outside of everything, you know, that happened on the course of these 2 seasons of All-American, you have to realize that Damon and Simone both chose each other over whatever was going on every single time. Regardless of how much distance Simone decides she wants to put. Because I did see on the trailer that the next episode, Simone was like, we need distance. Because Simone, I know y'all tired of me bringing up that currency thing, but I don't think Simone ready to cash in her coins on Damon, because she knows that her relationship with Damon is expensive. They both know that their relationship with each other is emotionally, romantically, personally expensive. And even though Damon may be willing to cash in his coins on that relationship, Simone is not, which is why she's always creating distance, because she's afraid of investing that into somebody else, because she's not fully over Jordan. She's still healing from that. And we even see that this season because of the whole conversation she had with Layla and the whole conversation she had with Jordan both times. And so she knows also that Damon just got out of a relationship with Thea. So it's a lot of factors that play into that. But you do have to realize that with Damon's father dying, Damon only chose one person to go and comfort him, even regardless of him just getting out of a relationship with Thea. You would have thought, like, naturally, like, if a person was going through something, I know me, if I had an ex I had just broke up with and we was on good terms, I would have turned to them for comfort through something like that. You know, I'm saying, like, not now while I'm married, but, you know, if I was younger, like their age. And, but that wasn't the case. And so Damon, and it's just funny because even when Damon got that first knock on his door, he said, Simone, come in. He knew it was Simone. That goes to show you, even while we don't see things on screen, there's still things happening in their universe. So for him to automatically know that it was Simone at his door proves their relationship. And so when she went there and told him that that letter was in his pocket or in his bag, and then he went back to her room and he was like, I can't read it. Can you read it? Legit scene for scene, except minus the kiss, that happened on All American with Spencer's father. When Spencer's father died and he found that box of letters. At the time, Spencer was still dating Layla and Olivia was dating Asher. Liv was still there for Spencer. Even had a talk with him, and Layla was watching. Like, it's legit the same thing. She finished reading that letter for Damon, and then she hugged Damon and consoled him in that moment. They had a kiss. Now, that kiss was pretty. I ain't gonna even hold you. Because it was something about, everybody was like, you know, people be going up for Lamone and Damon on Twitter, so they be going back and forth. But there's one thing that I did notice. I'm not saying that Simone don't like Lando, but I think her and Lando's relationship is more so based on lust than like or love. And then when they kind of have their kisses on screen, even though it's probably not intentional, their kisses and interactions look more lustful versus when this was her first kiss with Damon on screen at that. And her kiss with Damon looked like love. And Peyton played that part. Peyton, let me tell you something. Kudos to you. You really bodied that scene. Like, the emotion from him reading that letter, the grief of his father dying, and him not being able to hold his father accountable. But even in death, his father held his own self accountable. And he wrote that letter and they put it in a will for Damon to get after he died. And he addressed all of the questions, all of everything that Damon had, even down to Damon's disdain for Jesse, because one, he felt like Jesse gave him up, and two, he felt like he would be betraying his father by engaging in a relationship with Jesse. Like, that was beautifully and skillfully, tactfully displayed on screen. And the level of comfort, you know, that Simone had to, Jeffrey did that by displaying that comfort on screen, by being there for somebody who you call your friend that you really deeply care about, you know, comforting them in their time of loss. So I thought that was A1. Like, that's that level of, I don't know, wow, I didn't say qua, like that level of, like, that was it. Like, that was greatly filmed. That was greatly, the angles, the shot, the music that was playing during that scene. All of that was top tier A1. Like, I don't have no complaints. Y'all, I know I said this review was going to be long because it was just a lot of things running through my mind while watching this episode. I just had to think about it, and I had to say to y'all, I know y'all probably going to be a little bit frustrated, but y'all, if y'all stood with me throughout this recap, thank you so much for viewing. It's just a couple of things, like, I just want to talk about, and just to give people to think about as a viewer, not because, like, you be rooting for somebody, because I know for myself, like, throughout Grownish, like, I knew that Aaron and Zoe was in game, but I was still team Zuka because I just felt like Zoe and Luca went to get better together. But you just have to pay attention to what's being shown to you on screen. And from the jump, they painted on Grownish even, they developed that story between Aaron and Zoe not being able to be together to them finally being together. And it's the same way being painted on screen for Damon and Simone. And it was the same way for Spencer and Liv. Like, so, y'all, I ain't gonna hold you. Season 5 of All American did not have me, and I was like slowly like debating on whether I wanted to keep viewing All American because I felt like it was going nowhere. I felt like they had reached a mark and they did all they could do with the show. But last night, from what the clips that I saw and from the conversation that was being had on Twitter, I can't wait to put up that review. That review probably will be lengthy as well. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance because I'm going to try my best to have that video uploaded by tonight. But, yeah, y'all. Well done. All American Homecoming, well done. Kudos. And Warner Brothers, like, we're waiting. We're waiting on you because clearly you have an audience. We're waiting. So let us know what's up. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more videos. Deuces.